I am an evangelist of this book and of your paradigm of thought because it works.
It works.
Everyday conversations, it works. Conversations with your spouse, your boyfriend, your girlfriend, your children. My boys are 14 and 12. I have never asked them a question trying to get a yes. Ever.
Nice.
Whether it's to clean their room or to negotiate for them to play their games. I am using a label. I am using a mirror. I am using dynamic silence. I am going through what I have learned. I've known this about you, but even hearing you talk, this is something that I've picked up on. You are an avid learner.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Because you're not a PhD.
No. Thank God.
Like, and I only have a high school diploma. Like, I'm blessed, right? But it's a work ethic thing that I have where it's like, where if I want to know it, there's another way to get it.
Yeah.
Without me spending $450,000, right? And having student loans. But even at your age and stage, after this much success, I still hear the learner.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's fun for me learning that I could apply. I love learning.
Yeah.
Like my girlfriend and I, Wendy, we end up watching TV in the evenings. My only regret about that is we only watch TV because I'm tired from learning all day. There's only so much information you could take in. I got to find a way to relax.
Yep.
But I love learning. I like that. Yeah. Andrew Huberman is a great guy.
Yeah.
But I listen to his podcast because there's so much information there.
Yeah, absolutely.
And what among the things that make the podcast value is his high level of integrity. So you can trust the information.
Yep.
But anybody that I could learn
Writing
from.
that down, Andrew Huberman.
Yeah. I mean, it's good stuff. And I'll learn from anybody.
Yeah.
And if I can apply it, if I can make my life better, if I can have a positive impact with it, to me it's fun.
Absolutely.
Like there are all sorts of life hacks.
Yeah. Well, your book is a life hack. So I got to let me testify. Okay. So I've been married to Juliet. This year will be 24 years.
Wow, good for you.
Thanks. So if God keeps me, Juliet, my mom and dad healthy, my parents celebrate 49 years in May.
Wow.
We celebrate 24 years in May. So if we're all alive next year, on their 50th and our 25th, we're renewing our vows together.
Holy cow.
I think it's going to be sweet.
That's cool.
So, around year 20, it had to be. Yeah, it was around. Yeah, it was 20 or 21. Yeah, because we're 24 now. I read the book in 99. Yeah, that was year 20 for us. So this is year 21. I read the book. I fly out to San Diego. I do 2 days in San Diego with your team. I got to tell y'all this, all right? So there's 4 tables. I think there's about 40 people in this particular class.
Right.
And they go to each table and they do 60 seconds or she dies. Only the alums of Black Swan, the people that have gone through the course or been exposed to it or seen Chris on TED Talk or YouTube or whatever, 60 seconds or she dies is one of the most stress-inducing hypothetical scenarios you could ever be in, right? So they're about to do it, right? It's day one. You've warmed us up, and now you're about to throw us into the deep end of the pool. And there's 4 tables, 10 in each table. And I'm at the 3rd table. I'm at the 3rd or 4th tables. And Derek Gaunt is the one going around doing 60 seconds or she dies. Derek Gaunt can be one of the most intimidating people.
Yeah, he can.
If he drains the blood from his face, it'll look like he's staring through your soul, right? So he goes to, so people are raising their hands. They're like, pick me. I want to do it, right? I'm over here like, I'm not volunteering for this. I'm here to take notes. Goes to table 1, table 2. He gets to my table. He's with the mic. There's 4 people raising their hands at the table of 10. There's 4 people raising their hands. He acts like he's walking to them. does a spin, and hands me the mic. And I'm like, what is happening right now? Why are we doing this? And he goes, when you're ready, say ring, ring. And I was like, ring, ring. 60 seconds or she dies. And I'm telling you, I go from regular blood pressure to a skyrocket. This is a hypothetical.
Sitting still, right?
Sitting still.
This is the crazy thing about the brain.
That's exactly right. I'm sitting still. I haven't ran a sprint. I'm not asked to run on the other side of the. This is a phone call. Hypothetical. Like, you've done it for real. I can't even imagine the stress. I know what it felt like hypothetically. And this is what you all have done as a career, right? So I go through the scenario, and it is baptism by fire. I think I keep them on the line 3.5 minutes, which is miraculous.
Oh, it's a long time. You did really
miraculous.
Well. Yeah.
And actually, I'm the one that ended it because I was so fatigued after 3.5 minutes. I literally said, while still supposedly to being in character, when is this over? Then everybody kind of laughed and we broke.
By the way, you get north of 2 minutes on that. You've done really well.
Yes, sir.
So for you doing 3.5 minutes, that's really good.
Thank you. I knew I couldn't promise them that they were going to get out of it. You know, y'all gave us the parameters,
right?
But it was a dynamic exercise to go through. But one of the things that we talked about, and this was on day 2, was the accusations audit, which I failed miserably. The team put me as lead, and I got cooked, and Derek destroyed. I mean, my ego was decimated by this exercise. But I walked away with my tail tucked between my legs thinking, I have to listen more. Like, I was humbled in a way that I've never been humbled.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah. And so over that exercise over the next year, and some conversations I was having with Juliet, made me realize that there were things Juliet had been saying about me that I never acknowledged. I apologized for it or whatever, but I never actually acknowledged it. So one night, we are in a hotel room, and this was spontaneous. It wasn't like I thought about this. But I wind up running through an accusations audit of everything I've heard her say or think she has felt about me.
Right.
For the last 21 years.
Negative, every bad thing.
Every bad
this
thing.
Is embracing the bad stuff.
That's exactly right. And it lasts about 4.5 minutes.
Wow.
I go really slow. I'm really careful and intentional to name these things. To literally say, I know that I have been arrogant. I have been prideful. I have not listened to you. You probably think that I am the most selfish guy on the planet, that I have this public persona that doesn't match this private life. And man, I get through this whole thing. And that girl looked at me almost with shock and said, that's exactly right.
Wow.
It was one of the most humbling moments in my entire, we've done marriage counseling, all this kind of stuff. But after that accusations audit, we have had the most incredible marriage communicatively since that night. And I got those principles from Never Split the Difference. So I owe God and you a thank you, man. Because like I told you before we started, Chris, I metabolized that book.
Yeah.
There is no part of my life where Never Split the Difference does not manifest. Whether I'm asking for a late checkout, I'm asking these guys what to do, I'm always going, hey, would it be bad if we met on the 13th? It's and my wife, she knows I'm doing it. And
right.
she goes, you're doing the thing to me again. She just calls it the thing. You're doing the thing to me again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing the thing because it's really hard. You'd have to be a very nefarious person to use these skills for bad, right? Like they're wired for you to use it for good, right? We already talked about it at the core and the epicenter of what we're doing here. We're literally trying to get people to live with integrity, right?
Right.
A life without lies. But man, you are the one that was bold enough to put this on paper and give everybody else an opportunity to use it in their lives. And it's all right. Okay. Last thing, and then I'll shut up on this. I don't know if you've read the book, The Medici Effect.
Sounds interesting.
Yes. So the nutshell of the book is that the most creative and innovative ideas happen at the intersection of two different career fields.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Okay.
So I was even thinking about this earlier when you were talking, because the FBI negotiator goes to Harvard Business School, and his interest is piqued in how are y'all doing negotiation over here, and the cross-pollination of that is how we got to tactical empathy. It wasn't like I just kept doing the FBI thing, which is what we call a directional movement,
right,
as opposed to an intersectional movement, which is a cross-pollination with another field. So now you're being called to go all over the world. I mean, corporations, Dubai. I mean, when I think about you doing, a presentation in Dubai, I'm going, this is not, this ain't normal. So the cross-pollination is something that I feel like is what put you out here. It's because the learner in you put you at an intersection.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. And the willingness to apply ideas from one's place into another.
Yeah.
Or, and it's incredibly arrogant to make the comparison, but the Wright brothers built bicycles. Yeah, they didn't make airplanes. They built bicycles, or they didn't do anything aerodynamically. They built bicycles. So I think when you come from outside of a system and then you try to apply new ideas into a system, you're probably far more focused on what actually works.
Yep.
As opposed to the biases that the system has.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's and being a learner and being what I consider to be both mercenary and missionary. Mercenaries, does it work? Missionaries, is it good? Mm-hmm. Does it actually benefit people? Mm-hmm. You shouldn't sacrifice one for the other. You can find stuff that work. This works effectively, and you're doing good for people. Yep. This does good for people, and it's extremely effective.
Yep.
You can use tactical empathy for malicious intent, but it's a short fuse, because what you were talking about with your wife, it's one thing to utter empathy, but then you gotta live it.
That's right.
Also.
That's right.
And so you can utter it and have it be tremendously effective in the moment, but if you don't walk the talk afterwards,
correct,
then they stop paying attention to the talk.
That's correct.
It's effective talk, but you got to walk the talk.
Absolutely correct. And to that point, that accusations audit and our subsequent connection, deeper connection, was because there was a change that was happening in me. I don't think I could have done that accusations audit a month earlier, a year earlier, 5 years earlier. So to your point, don't go through this book going, yeah, I'm gonna fling out these tools, and you're not even about that life, because nothing's gonna change. Nothing's gonna change at all.
And you're gonna get much farther. Like, people are afraid of change because they're afraid of losing. And so, which means like if I make the change, I'm going to be worse off. Like if I'm a nicer guy, I'm going to be worse off. I'm not going to get as much. One of the guys that we just had a very special training session of high level people that we did last year, first time ever. We're going to do it again this coming year. All heads of companies, entrepreneurs, not corporations, entrepreneurs. And one guy, not the stereotypical negotiator. Most people think the stereotype of negotiator is loud and aggressive, like super quiet dude, super quiet. Not loud, not overly aggressive at all. Extremely competitive. Difference between being competitive and aggressive. And so I did a follow-on interview because a guy blew me away. And he said, I have made so much more money being collaborative than I ever made by being cutthroat. Wow. Like you guys have made an $800,000 difference this year by making us more collaborative, and we never had jumps like that before when we were cutthroat. So that's very counterintuitive because people think like, well, I'll have more empathy. If I'm more collaborative, that means I got to give up bigger pieces of the pie. You know, why should I expand a pie if I'm not going to get a bigger piece? And people who get collaborative at the end of the year, they're like, I put more money in my bank account this year than any of the preceding years.
Exactly.
So it enriches you to be more giving.
Absolutely. This is true. All right, so I got to go back to the 2-day intensive, right? So the first day, we actually have to do an exercise with a group, a team, collaborating with other teams. And you know, we got to make a deal, right? That's going to be amicable for everybody, right? And nobody won. I don't remember one team winning or the two teams that they were working with each other, collaborating and winning, because everybody was suspicious of each other.
Right.
Everybody was like, no, you're trying to get over. You're trying to make us take 20% of this, and you're trying to get 80% of that. And we couldn't get out of our own way. We were, and this is the thing about me, like, I'll tell you one thing that's very, very humbling is to read the book, to actually go to a live event with Chris and the team and think that because you read the book, you know what you're doing. It's only when you get in that, you do know to a certain extent the principles, but when you get put in these environments that are stress inducing, you realize, man, the selfishness is right at the surface. I haven't killed my ego yet. I actually want to win. And that's what happens a lot of times when people don't want to change, is they think that by me changing, you're winning and I'm losing.
Change means loss.
Yeah, change means loss. And so I really appreciate you kind of giving us a context of that, because it's a game changer. It's a game changer.